you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.
Hello and welcome. It's another edition, the latest edition of the Bmore Baseball Podcast. I'm Jerry Coleman. He's the former major leaguer and Oriole. He's Mike Bordick. A reminder, we're up with brand new content on our podcast, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook. Find us now at the Bmore Ball Pod, the Bmore Ball Pod, also on YouTube. And if you follow us, a chance to win a $50 gift card from Lido Pizza. Today, episode number 3, Bordy will be joined by Arizona Diamondback skipper Torey Lovullo, and we'll receive a big league skipper's view on how to handle spring training and maybe hear a few stories about your playing career. Mike and I will also get into how the Orioles pitching staff and lineup might shake out with a few of the injuries involved. And speaking of the injuries, our What's Up Doc segment will focus on whether or not MLB players need a second opinion and the injuries that are going on with the pitching staff and at least one infielder. Plus, is one major league club wasting its superstar player? First, though, as always, let's bring in our featured guest. He is sponsored by Pappas Seafood, where they ship crab cakes anywhere in the U.S., including here in Sarasota, Florida, or out there in Arizona where he is. From crab cakes to seafood classics, they will deliver straight to your door. Pappas Seafood has 4 locations in the Baltimore area, plus nationwide shipping. Order today at pappascrabcakes.com, and we have some crab cakes coming to Sarasota today. We welcome the Arizona Diamond skipper since 2016, Torey Lovullo. Skip, thanks for carving out some time for us this week. Although we talk a lot about the Orioles and your connection to Mike, we'll get into that. But first, as a major league manager, tell us about how full of a plate you have as opposed to the regular season. Does it differentiate in terms of preparing for spring training versus the regular season?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to be with you guys, Jerry, and obviously Bordy. It's great to connect with you. Bordy was one of my all-time favorite teammates. I was a little bit of a grinder, and when a superstar or a really good player like Mike Bordick gives a grinder the attention he'd give me, it was like an instant attraction. Like I was so happy to be his teammate, and everybody knows what an unbelievable player he was, but he's an even better teammate. But to answer your question, spring training is always a very busy time. It's early mornings. You get in, you work out. You try to get 45 minutes, an hour to yourself. That's really kind of the reason why I come in not early. And then everybody needs 5 minutes of my attention. And it's mostly scheduling, what kind of reps we want to get to today. And then at a certain point of spring training, it turns into an evaluation period for the GMs. And they're in here constantly talking about who we're going to send out, because we got to get that number down from a very large number somewhere in the 60s down to 26. And we start having baseball discussions inside of my office. So it's constantly moving. It's actually really exciting. And by the end of the day, I am absolutely toast. I go home at about 7:30. I go home about 5 o'clock after the game. At 7:30, I'm like looking for the bed. And that's not baseball. Baseball is supposed to be sleeping in until noon and going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. That is not the case for me during spring training.
Spring training is definitely plays havoc, I think, with your circadian rhythm, especially for a baseball player. But listen here, Torey, it's great to connect with you. We don't have enough time, that's for sure, to catch up with the 30 years. But I remember sitting on that top step, man, of the Oakland Coliseum and talking shop with you. And thanks for giving me those props as being the number one teammate. But listen, you were an awesome teammate in my mind. And this is why, because you helped get the most out of me. You had an incredibly motivational kind of personality where I think just being around you made me better. Somehow you were able to give me confidence without kind of being that guy that was trying to backstab me or something like that. So it made me feel good. And I think you used that throughout your whole career as a grinder, because you kind of are the epitome, if you ask me, of a true professional baseball player. You played the big leagues, so you grinded your way up to get there and try to stay there. You got back into the minor leagues and coaching, managed through, it seemed like lifetime, and then made it back to the big leagues, man. All your experiences in the game, Torey, as a player, as a minor league manager, a big league manager as well, you have met some of the most, I think, influential players and managers in the game. Sparky Anderson you came up with. How about Trammell and Whitaker with the Angels, Tim Salmon and those guys? Were there any that really stuck out that made a huge impact on you?
Well, clearly Sparky did. He was my first big league manager. He took a chance on me. I was just a young kid, and he saw a certain talent in me. And, you know, it was Sparky Anderson, the Big Red Machine. He won world championships and with Johnny Bench and Pete Rose and Joe Morgan. And then he did it in the American League with the Detroit Tigers. So he was like an icon to me. And I was so honored to be in his presence, and I listened to every word that he said. And my locker, and I think it was by design in the old Tiger Stadium, was the first locker outside of his office. So he would lean back, have his pipe in his mouth post game, and be like, "Torey, my boy, come in here. Let's talk baseball." So I'd go in there, and he kind of disarmed me. And then that kind of filters into Tito Francona, who is a very disarming manager. And playing in the big leagues is hard enough, and going out there every single day is a tough job. And when you're worried about how you fit in and where you stand inside of the pecking order in a major league environment, it makes it even tougher. Those were two managers that made me feel right at home. And when I felt at home, I was at ease. I could go out there and play and perform, and that's what every player wants. But so those were a couple managers. I had unbelievable teammates along my journey, real solid people. Yourself, JT Snow, Gary DiSarcina, Tim Salmon, those to name a few. And I got the chance to play with in my opinion, one of the best players in Major League Baseball of all time, and Ken Griffey Jr. And he was just such a talented player who had a fun-loving experience every single time he took the field. And that showed me how to have fun. I was very serious. I think I had to take it serious because I did have to grind. But Junior taught me how to have fun when you're playing the game we all love.
I don't know how to do that in the game yet. It's a very frustrating game. I'm glad you've been able to harness that, Torey. And I love your references to some of the greatest players in the game. But I'll tell you what, something that comes with this longevity that you've endured and now become, one of, I think, the highly respected managers in the game are the sacrifices and commitments. And it must be incredibly hard. And how do you overcome that now? As one of the longer tenured managers, longest in Arizona Diamondbacks history. Congratulations to that. And the winningest manager in Diamondbacks history. How do you keep going and get better and better?
Yeah, there's two things to that. It's a two-part answer. One is, I fight to stay out of this complacent mindset, and I'm trying to learn and grow every single day because in the routine, and I like that, but that's the foundation. But I've tried to learn and grow and just continue asking questions and search out good baseball conversation, read a book. I'm not a great reader. I wish I was better at it. But just to learn and grow, my worst fear is getting caught in 2005 or 2015. I want to keep going. So that's a personal challenge. And then look, behind the scenes, there's so much that's happening inside of my world, right? I think behind every successful baseball player there or baseball person, there's an unbelievable wife with great values that just holds down the fort and allows me to chase my dream every single day. So I've got grown children now that love baseball, support and love me. I have a great family that knows how to support me from afar. And then my wife every single day is able to kind of keep it fresh and real and just say like, hey man, keep chasing that dream on my good days and on my bad days. We all have bad days, but perseverance is something that I've kind of been striving for throughout the course of my life. And I played that way. I just fought for everything that I had. So it's been a long journey to get here, but I'm so proud of what this organization has done. And we got a lot more work to do until we get there. But I've been honored to be the Arizona Diamondback manager for now 9 years.
Yeah, speaking of the organization, you guys pick up Corbin Burns. I don't know if he got a hometown discount or not, but he wanted to pitch in Arizona.
Yeah.
And that's the Orioles' loss. How's he fitting in? And you guys are going to be facing the Orioles in Arizona coming up next month. So looking forward to that. And I guess Corbin may be facing his former team.
Well, first of all, the Orioles are an unbelievable organization. They have rebuilt from within, and they have some of the best young talent in all of baseball. So what they're doing is sustainable. It's going to happen for a long, long time. But we're just honored that Corbin chose us. And I know that it meant he was leaving you guys. But look, he was in on us from the very beginning before we knew he was in on us. And when he started to make some phone calls and said to our leadership group, I want to be there. This is kind of my first choice. Can we make this happen? I didn't believe it. I really honestly didn't believe it. But as soon as our owner got involved, Ken Kendrick, who's been an unbelievable owner, so generous to this organization, me personally, players, the right situations, he jumped in and said, I'm going to make this happen. And it was right around Christmas time. And he called me and he said, I'm going to try to give you the best Christmas present you ever had in your life. And sure enough, he put a really nice present under the tree, and it turned out to be Corbin Burns. So Corbin, as we're unwrapping that present, has been unbelievable, a great teammate, a great husband, a great father, a great pitcher, which we all see. But when you get underneath the hood and you see what makes everybody really, really different and special, Corbin Burns is just a great person that happens to be an excellent pitcher, and you can see why it all comes together for him.
I love your passion shines through, Torey. I think you care about your teammates, your players, and obviously the game of baseball. You've got another incredible former Oriole in your organization, Trey Mancini, who's battled a lot, and we're hoping he gets an opportunity there. You don't have to stick on Trey Mancini. I just want to go to the National League West, man. What a battle you guys are in for. You got the Dodgers. Obviously, the Diamondbacks want to get back to the World Series. It was only a couple years ago. How you face it up, man? Are you fired up about this challenge?
Yeah, about the Dodgers in the West and the challenge that group. So what we talk about here is just embracing our own personal challenges. At times when we were a little undermanned, we kind of focus on the exterior, like, oh my God, how are we going to keep up with the Giants or the Padres or the Dodgers or the Rockies? How are we going to make this happen? And I mean, I even had really good former teammates of mine saying, hey man, good luck. You're in the Dodgers division. And they leave my office and I'd be like, F you, man, we're going to find a way to beat these guys. But deep down, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to happen. They were just overmatching us. But now you fast forward 3 or 4 years and we've got the horses that can keep up with anybody. So what I tell everybody is focus on us, take care of our business, our way. And it's our dugout competing against them, between not be so concerned about the names that are in the lineup. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. We respect the hell out of them. They're world champions. They've got a great team. They've got probably 4 or 5 of the best players in all of Major League Baseball by position on one team. So we know that, and we know we have to play our game. And we talk about winning margins and winning inches all over the field, and we prepare that way. We talk about the small things. Little things really, really matter here.
And I got to throw this out there, brother, because I know we talked about Hee Haw a lot when I was there.
Oh, man, yeah.
I was the producer for Hee Haw, brother.
Yeah.
Where are you tonight?
Oh, my God.
Love Roy Clark.
That's good. Okay, so I used to get so much crap, right? People would be like, your dad produced Hee Haw? I can't believe it. Either they would be so like enamored by it, or they'd fall off the chair with laughter. So depending on where you're from. So if you're from like the West Coast or from like Chicago or New York, they're like, oh my God, Hee Haw, what a show. That's funny. Or if you're from Tennessee or Texas, people are like, dude, it was my favorite show. I watched it every night at 6 o'clock or every Sunday at 6 o'clock. It was awesome. But I had a really, really strong feeling at some point I was going to stay in this game. And I don't know, I just love the game. I don't know if it was going to choose me or not. And then I began my journey. I really put my faith in somebody by the name of Mark Shapiro, who's the president of baseball operations for the Toronto Blue Jays, who brought me along, and John Farrell, who also brought me along. So I was really honored to be around really, really good baseball people. But I wanted Bordy, DSAR, Scott Brocious, and JT Snow as my staff members. I said, I'm going to manage one day, you guys. You guys are going to make zillions of dollars. I'm here fighting and scratching for $5 a day in meal money. I'm going to find a way to get you on a big league staff one day. So, Bordy, that offer's coming, man.
I'm still here, brother.
Yeah, he's right.
So, anyways, I just was around really good baseball people and good friends. That's mostly what it was about when I was a baseball player, and I was honored to be around guys like Bordy in the group I just mentioned.
Proud of you, man. Super proud of you, and
Appreciate
I just
it, Bordy.
wish you the best of luck and pulling for the Diamondbacks this year. Right?
Appreciate it, man.
Except when you guys face the Orioles, with all due respect.
I get it. I got to tell you a quick story. One time, I know Cal was getting ready to transition over to third base, right? And I just got done playing with Bordy in Oakland, and a fellow by the name of Rick Down, who was either the hitting coach or the bench coach for the Baltimore Orioles, knew that I played with. Called me on the phone. Look, there were no cell phones. There was nothing like this. It was all done by landlines. He called me on the phone. He says, hey, Torey, you know Mike Bordick? And I'm like, yeah, I do know Mike Bordick. And he said, you tell him one thing. If he wants to come over and be a champion, win a world championship, play in the right organization, that he signs with the Baltimore Orioles and plays shortstop and takes over for Cal Ripken. You tell him that. And I'm like, Rick, you really want to say it like that? He's like, you tell him that exact thing. So I picked up the phone and called Bordy. I said, Bordy, you want to be a winner? You better sign with the Baltimore Orioles. So I feel like I deserved about 5% of that of the commission of your contract, whatever you got. I'm still waiting for that, man. Bring it my way.
Hey, Skip, we know you got a meeting coming up. We're going to ship you some Pappas crab cakes so you can enjoy them out there in Arizona. And get the Wi-Fi up and working well. And
I know. I'll talk to IT here. All right, guys, I got to go. I'll talk to you guys later.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right. See you, Bordick, Jerry. See you later. Bye-bye.
All right. There he goes. Torey Lovullo. What a pleasure that was. And again, I mean, you knew it probably from the jump start. And this guy is, as you said, the longest tenured manager in Diamondbacks history with a World Series appearance to boot.
Yeah, such an exceptional baseball mind. And all he wanted to do was learn. He would just talk baseball every minute on the field. Some of my best moments were with players like Torey Lovullo in the Oakland Coliseum dugout on the top step, waiting for a Saturday morning game and just talking shop, man. I love that guy, truly passionate about the game. And I'm telling you, we're going to look up one day, and when he gets a couple World Series rings under his belt, he might be headed to Cooperstown, baby, as a manager.
More of the Bmore Baseball podcast coming right up. At Pappas Restaurants, we've been serving up Maryland's best crab cakes for over 5 decades, and now we make it easier than ever to get your favorites. With 4 restaurants and sports bar locations across Harford County, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County, you can stop in for fresh seafood, ice-cold drinks, and wall-to-wall TVs. But if you can't make it in, don't worry. We'll bring Pappas to you. Our new state-of-the-art shipping and commissary location on Bel Air Road in Nottingham means you can pick up fresh-made meals or have our famous crab cakes and seafood shipped anywhere in the country. Dine in, pick up, or ship nationwide. However you Pappas, we've got you covered. Order now at pappascrabcakes.com.
It might be an 11, maybe a 9. It could be 13's time, or 5. With new Cash Pop from the Maryland Lottery, a winning number is drawn 4 times a day. Just pick a number from 1 to 15 for a chance to win cash, like the $2,500 top prize.
Woo! Cash Pop.
Cash Pop.
Pop, pop.
Put a little pop in your day.
The Be More Baseball podcast welcomes Relief Shop. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu, located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week. Only at Relief Shop. It's savings season at Lido Pizza. 99-cent refreshing iced teas for spring and summer, or $6 calzones every Tuesday. There are tons of new deals and rewards for everyone, exclusively at LidoPizza.com or on the Lido Pizza app. Lido Pizza, a local legend since 1955, proud partner of the Baltimore Orioles. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time. And now, back to the Be More Baseball podcast.
Let's get to For the Birds, sponsored by our friends over at the Maryland Lottery. Playing the Maryland Lottery responsibly means knowing what's true and what's not about your favorite games, folks. Learn the facts and myths at MarylandLottery.com, and please play responsibly. Now, for the record, I don't believe in jinxes, especially I get agitated when fans blame broadcasters for talking about a no-hitter in progress, like the pitcher's listening to the broadcast. I don't believe in jinx on podcasts either, even though our first guest after Adam Jones, active player-wise, is now on the injured list. Andrew Kittredge, Brandon Hyde never got a chance to really evaluate him, Bordy. And we'll get more on that procedure with Dr. Jacobs coming up in our What's Up the Doc segment. But I got to ask you, with Felix Bautista coming back after 3 appearances at the time that we are here on the air, is he going to be the closer, or are they going to have to look at someone else now that Kittredge is out of the picture?
Well, I think it's obviously going to depend on how he progresses. There's not much time left, but it seems like things are looking good. Velocity was up again yesterday. It looks like he's got pretty good command of the strike zone. He did give up a couple singles, but I think a lot of it is just his mental mindset. How's he going into the season? It seems like all reports, he feels very confident. I would not be surprised if he actually did start at the back end, being the closer, because there are a lot of times just psychologically the opposing team, they don't want to face him. They remember him from a couple years ago and how dominating he was. Nobody wants to face the mountain at the end of the game. So psychologically, I think the Orioles have an advantage over other teams in that regard. Let's just hope his arm stays healthy and he's able to stay consistent and be there when we need him, because that's going to be important.
Absolutely. Got to see him Monday night in Bradenton. He got knocked around a little bit, but the velocity was up there and it's going to continue to climb, he says, at least through his translator. Now, as far as starters, what about the rotation with Grayson Rodriguez being out? Again, more with Dr. Michael Jacobs coming up later in the podcast. But is it Zach Eflin who is looking like the probable opening day starter? Because Sagano and Morton had a great weekend here in Sarasota, Bordy.
Oh, no, it's great that they look good. I love that. Veteran guys getting their work in properly and having success. I think that always bodes well for veteran pitchers. But I think Eflin's going to slot in there as the number one and let Morton and Sagano, maybe even Kramer, slide in there. I think this injury to Grayson Rodriguez kind of lets everybody know that you just can't have enough pitching. And you've got to keep stockpiling pitching. And I don't care if it's not an ace. You just need arms to eat up innings one way or another. I don't think the Orioles are going to go out and panic over this, but I think there's concern, and I think there's general concern in all of baseball, and the good doctor will talk about this, the amount of injuries. It's overwhelming. The Yankees just lost their two best pitchers, Garrett Cole done under the knife, and of course Gill's going to be out most of the year as well.
Here. Yeah. I understand, and it's terrible. I mean, when you lose pitchers that you're paying a lot of money to, we'll see if the Orioles go out and find someone else between now and the start of opening day. I don't know if they need to, but I know Mike Elias will be looking. What about at shortstop, your former position? Because Gunnar Henderson is probably going to start the season on the IL. Jorge Mateo, we know, is coming off Tommy John surgery. He's not expected to start the season and be ready. He's going to be probably in the same position that Gunnar may be in.
Yeah. There's concern there. And I think anytime there's a side, the oblique kind of injury that seems to rear its ugly head and becomes a trendy kind of injury, let's hope it's not very trendy for the Orioles this year, although I heard O'Neill had a little side pain as well. This is something that can stay with players for a long time if not treated correctly, which means ultimate rest, which is very hard to do at the major league level because everything is such a violent, all speed action, and you'll lose a lot of your timing and rhythm. So Gunnar's got to heal though before he can do that violent swing that we've also been so accustomed to seeing, super aggressive. So heal that side up and then get going. You do not need this to be reoccurring because it could take 4 to 6 weeks for these things just to really kind of calm down enough to get swings in.
Yeah, they're starting a bunch of different guys as replacements at shortstop. That game that I referenced on Monday in Bradenton where Bautista pitched, you saw Jackson Holliday at shortstop. Livan Soto's been out there. Luis Vazquez, Emmanuel Rivera, a lot of guys most people haven't heard of.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think if there was an issue where there was some really concern about Henderson missing an extended amount of time, I really wouldn't mind if Holliday just went over there. I think he's young enough. I think he's athletic enough. I've seen him at shortstop. He can definitely move over there. The arm strength, because you lose a lot just sticking at second base. So he's got to kind of rebuild that up and train it up again. But I think he'll move around fine. It might be a little bit of too much pressure for him to kind of bounce back and forth from second to short. Ideally, I think Holliday should stay at second and let these other guys play shortstop. They're natural young shortstops and just kind of fill it in as you go. If Gunnar's definitely going to be coming back sooner than later.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you and not move Jackson from second where he's starting to get entrenched. All right, let's venture beyond Baltimore, our national and sometimes international perspective. It's all presented by Relief Shop, Baltimore's best adult use and medical cannabis dispensary with 700 plus unique menu items and home delivery available always for medical patients, courtesy of Relief. Bordy, I want to ask you what the Pirates are doing. I've seen an awful lot of them because of proximity. They play the Orioles something like 7 times in spring training. I've seen Paul Skeens twice, been fortunate. The number 1 pick in the 2023 draft, the reigning rookie of the year, had an ERA under 2 last year, but the Pirates can control them for 5 more years at a severely discounted rate. But what happens then, Mike? Because Skeens is going to make around $800,000 this upcoming year. Orioles facing some similar questions with Gunnar and Adley Rutschman, but the Pirates have just an $88 million payroll, 4th lowest in baseball. Are they wasting Skeens' talents?
Absolutely not. There is no way I would be paying Paul Skeens right now. The way major league pitchers are getting hurt, I mean, my gosh, that's got to be the riskiest investment in all of sport and maybe in all of the world, to take a chance on a pitcher like that. So locking up Skeens, I don't think is smart management. If he makes it through 6 years, then somebody's going to be paying that monster. But the chances of this big arm staying healthy is very risky. It's very rare. I mean, guys are they're dropping too fast, So I think the Pirates are going to be careful there. But I think that's from a pitching standpoint. So I think all teams are going to be careful. Unless the guy's proven, maybe just came off Tommy John and had success, lock him up for another 2 or 3 years because he's probably going to be durable enough for that. But it's the position players that I think are holding out because of the contract that Soto signed, especially a player like Gunnar Henderson. They're talking about $1 billion player now, and Gunner's in that category. If he continues to get better and better, I expect him to hit 40 home runs this year, and who knows, the sky seems to be the limit as far as the versatility that he possesses. He could make more than Soto if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah, the price isn't going to go down. We know that.
No way.
Love the culture of Charm City? The Baltimore Chamber Orchestra, not the symphony, is performing at Goucher College Sunday, May 11th. Picture it. The strings strike the first chord like a leadoff hitter, setting the concert's tone, followed by colorful winds, powerful brass, and explosive percussion, like a crowd roaring to their feet during a home run. Discover Baltimore's second orchestra and experience the unforgettable magic of classically captivating live music. Get your tickets now at thebco.org.
Everyone knows Greenmount Station in Hampstead, but did you know that at Greenmount Station you can bet 7 days a week just like you're at the track? With in-person teller windows and state-of-the-art touchscreen kiosks. And with Greenmount Station's brand new Bet Park Sportsbook, you can bet on all other sports as well, wherever you are in Maryland. Spreads, money lines, live bets, props, parlays, and teasers. The Bet Parks Maryland mobile app is now live for Apple and Android devices, so you'll never miss your next big score. Just search for Bet Parks MD in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. 21 and over only. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Heller Coates, we ensure peace of mind. Our mission, to educate, design, and protect, ensuring that you get the right insurance at the right price. Whether it's home and auto, life, disability, long-term care, or employee benefits, our deep understanding of personal and business life cycles allows us to tailor solutions just for you. We specialize in strategic insurance planning for those who value protection. Ready to take the next step? Get in touch for no obligation 360 policy review at insurance@hellercoates.com. And now back to the Bmore Baseball Podcast.
What's Up, Doc is sponsored by the Baltimore Chamber Orchestra. Hear Baltimore's second orchestra perform at 3 p.m. coming up on Sunday, May the 11th at Goucher College. Visit thebco.org to buy tickets and learn more. Dr. Michael Jacobs, former Orioles team doctor, joining us. Doc, remarkably, I have not seen a lot of insects down here in Sarasota. The one thing that is floating around, though, is the injury bug, and it continues to bite the Orioles. I'm sorry for the poor pun, but let's begin with Andrew Kittredge. Had the left knee surgery to remove cartilage and tissue to reduce the pain. How much of a setback is this to him going forward?
We don't know. Only the team, the player, and the appropriate people know how severe that injury was. When you get to knee injuries, cartilage is a very vague word. There's different types of cartilage. There's a cartilage that covers your knee like a tire tread. And when that wears down and you have a defect, you have arthritis. Many major league players and football players, basketball players play with a degree of arthritis in their knee that is managed, obviously, non-operatively. But nonetheless, that's a chronic condition. Then your knee also has what is referred to as cartilages, but they're really menisci. They're little triangular wedges that are a different kind of cartilage. They tend to get injured in acute moves, more typically in a football pivot or something. And when you damage a little piece of them and you snip it off, they tend to do very well. We do not have any of the inside information, but interestingly, the Orioles, which are one of the more transparent teams about injuries, certainly as compared to hockey, as you know, with upper body injuries, which could be anything from you've been decapitated to you've got a hangnail. They said that the knee was debrided. A debridement is what we used to call a clean out. That would suggest the knee has a little arthritic change in there and not so much that it has a little triangular meniscal injury. Those are much more unpredictable. Sometimes when you do those, the patients bounce back fairly quickly. They typically do need a cortisone shot or two as the year goes on, but sometimes they do bounce back quickly. Other times, they just don't bounce back well at all. And the knee says remains somewhat swollen for the whole year. And I've had both players. I've even had patients of players where you do that procedure on one knee and it works out great. And you do the other knee and it works out poorly. It's the exact same thing, it appears. So I think the fact that the knee's been swollen as per what they've released, it's his landing leg, which obviously takes a lot of stress, and the fact that they've already given you like a 2 to 3 month window, I believe is what they put out, would make me think the knee's been swollen. It's a little arthritic. He'll probably get a cortisone shot, a visco supplementation shot, maybe a PRP shot. It's probably going to be something they nurse the year round, but I would assume the chances are better than 50-50. He'll come back to pitch, but of course he'll have to start up again. It'll be a while to ramp him up. There'll probably be a little swelling, and the team has excellent medical people, excellent training people, but these are always, and Mike knows this very well, 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. And that, if a debridement represents a little arthritic area, they're just totally unpredictable.
How about Felix Bautista and his injury, or not Felix Bautista, I'm sorry, Grayson Rodriguez, sorry, Doc, and his latest injury. Is there, I personally, as a fan, I'm pretty concerned because it seems like every year he's on the IL, and especially in that throwing arm, the shoulder, the lat, and now the tricep. As a doctor, are you concerned about this young player's arm and his health history?
Well, DNA is DNA, as one of my GMs used to say, and some guys have trouble getting back. Now, Grayson, as you know, we drafted in high school as a slender project, and we drafted him over Libertori and a number of prep school kids who were thought to be better prospects. And as his body is filled out, he's kind of grown into a full-size man. And even though I think he's 25, he's still filling out to me. And I think it's still a matter of trying to figure out how he wants to throw. But it is worrisome that he does have a lot of injuries. There's no question. But you also have to give Mike Elias credit and the medical team credit that we've been very careful with him. We never wanted to overpush him. And I don't want to say we've overreacted to injuries, but we were very careful with him. Same thing with Dayton, who we traded. We were very careful with him. What really bothers me about Rodriguez is 2 things. One is initially they said it was a triceps, which would be a tendon injury. But now they're saying his elbow is swollen, and they gave him a cortisone shot. And if his elbow's swollen, he's got inflammation. But I suspect he's got some sort of overload syndrome. It's possible he has a small loose body in there that causes inflammation. But given his age and his elbow has never been a problem in the past, I don't think that's probably the case, but there's so many things that can cause inflammation. But one is trying to throw too hard with an uncomfortable delivery. So,
Doc, lastly, I wanted to address Gunnar Henderson, who remains out with this right intercostal muscle, which basically is near the rib cage in layman's terms for us non-medical people. Is the best course for him still just rest? Is there anything else he can do to rehab?
Mike summarized that brilliantly, and that injury will heal. There are modalities and treatments, but rest is basically it. And the problem is, just as Mike said, the pressure to get back on the field is the enemy here. If the team starts well and they can give him time to fully heal, that should do fine. The enemy here, as I just said, is you get to that mode where you're 80% healed, you feel pretty good, you want to play, there's pressure to play, and you go out there, and whether it's a check swing, which can surprisingly hurt you, you dive for a ball, you re-injure it, and you take a mild muscle strain to a significant muscle strain, then you're out for 3 months. So again, it's kind of holding your powder dry, as they like to say. It's sucking it up early in the season to give him the chance to be 100%. So this doesn't turn into a significant injury that really lays you down. You need your core muscles to torque and swing. And while his swing doesn't look as violent as, let's say, Adley's, it's still obviously a power swing. And you really it should heal fine, but you've got to give him enough time. And I think that's incumbent upon the team starting okay so that they're not pressured to get him back. But remember, If he's not there, they'll probably be pitching around Adley. Then Adley could start, changing his strike zone. So it's a kind of a domino theory of a lot of things can happen when your key hitter goes down.
No doubt about it. Doc, appreciate it. More from the Doc coming up in overtime on our YouTube page at the Bmore Ball Pod. And thanks to our loyal sponsors, including the Baltimore Chamber Orchestra, including also thanks to Pappas Seafood for the crab cakes here in Sarasota. We'll show them off coming up.
At Pappas Restaurants, we've been serving up Maryland's best crab cakes for over 5 decades, and now we make it easier than ever to get your favorites. With 4 restaurants and sports bar locations across Harford County, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County, you can stop in for fresh seafood, ice-cold drinks, and wall-to-wall TVs. But if you can't make it in, don't worry. We'll bring Pappas to you. Our new state-of-the-art shipping and commissary location on Bel Air Road in Nottingham means you can pick up fresh-made meals or have our famous crab cakes and seafood shipped anywhere in the country. Dine in, pick up, or ship nationwide. However you Pappas, we've got you covered. Order now at pappascrabcakes.com.
It might be an 11, maybe a 9. It could be 13's time, or 5. With new Cash Pop from the Maryland Lottery, a winning number is drawn 4 times a day. Just pick a number from 1 to 15 for a chance to win cash, like the $2,500 top prize.
Woo! Cash Pop.
Cash Pop.
Pop, pop.
Put a little pop in your day.
The Bmore Baseball Podcast welcomes Relief Shop. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week. Only at Relief Shop. It's savings season at Lido Pizza. 99-cent refreshing iced teas for spring and summer, or $6 calzones every Tuesday. There are tons of new deals and rewards for everyone, exclusively at LidoPizza.com or on the Lido Pizza app. Lido Pizza, a local legend since 1955, proud partner of the Baltimore Orioles. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time.
Love the culture of Charm City? The Baltimore Chamber Orchestra, not the symphony, is performing at Goucher College Sunday, May 11th. Picture it. The strings strike the first chord like a leadoff hitter, setting the concert's tone, followed by colorful winds, powerful brass, and explosive percussion, like a crowd roaring to their feet during a home run. Discover Baltimore's second orchestra and experience the unforgettable magic of classically captivating live music. Get your tickets now at thebco.org.
Everyone knows Greenmount Station in Hampstead, but did you know that at Greenmount Station you can bet 7 days a week just like you're at the track? With in-person teller windows and state-of-the-art touchscreen kiosks. And with Greenmount Station's brand new Bet Park Sportsbook, you can bet on all other sports as well, wherever you are in Maryland. Spreads, money lines, live bets, props, parlays, and teasers. The Bet Parks Maryland mobile app is now live for Apple and Android devices, so you'll never miss your next big score. Just search for Bet Parks MD in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. 21 and over only. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. At Heller Coates, we ensure peace of mind. Our mission, to educate, design, and protect, ensuring that you get the right insurance at the right price. Whether it's home and auto, life, disability, long-term care, or employee benefits, our deep understanding of personal and business life cycles allows us to tailor solutions just for you. We specialize in strategic insurance planning for those who value protection. Ready to take the next step? Get in touch for no obligation 360 policy review at insurance@hellercoates.com.
Thanks to senior executive producer Chip Franklin for putting this latest episode together. Chip's got a story to tell you. Just make sure you carve out an hour to hear it, and you have nothing else scheduled during that hour. Until next time, be real, be kind, and make sure to be back next week. A very special episode with a very special guest here on the Bmore Baseball Podcast.
Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal.